What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Hoop Hogs video mailbag. I'm Curtis Wilkerson with Inside Arkansas and the Pod at the Palace, coming to you with our daily Razorback basketball Q&A. This has been a lot of fun, and we're getting closer and closer and closer to the start of the Arkansas basketball season, year one under John Calipari. And I think, given the time frame here, it's a perfect time to get into what was one big picture question that's going to carry us probably through the next 9 days here. But let's take a look at it. From Corey, this is a while back. I didn't forget about you, man. I've been waiting strategically for this, okay? He says, could you do an individual 10-minute daily video with strengths and weaknesses for the top 9 players with highlighted examples? Yes, Corey, we absolutely can do that, and this is probably a perfect way to do it. So we are going to jump right into it, and we're just going to go to the roster, and we're going to start at the top and work our way down from this rotation. The beautiful thing about it is, number one, it's Nelly Davis, your best player. There you go. We're going to start with Johnell Davis, who I think is getting ready to take the SEC by storm, people. First of all, he's going to be a first-team All-SEC guy in the preseason when that comes out next week. Or I guess it's about 10 days or so when that's going to come out. I think he's got a case, too, for All-American. I really do. Nelly Davis is the real deal, man. He's a hell of a player, and I think people should be excited about it. You know, projected by BartTorvik.com to lead the team, 16.3 points, 5.1 rebounds per game. That feels about right. It's just shy of what he did at FAU. Wouldn't surprise me at all, honestly, if he scored more than that. I think he's that good. I'm not sure folks realize just yet the level to which Johnell Davis is a bucket. He's tough, man. I don't know how much y'all have watched him. I know he's at FAU. I watched him a ton because I really, really loved, checking out those FAU teams because they were so unselfish. It was a cool story. The last 2 years have been a blast, and I felt like I was watching them every Sunday on my television. When it comes to getting to your spots, mastering angles, finding different ways to create space, he's as good as anyone in the country that I watched last year, and he's not super explosive or overly athletic. I think he had 7 dunks last year, so he can get up there and throw it down, but he's not a huge above the rim kind of guy, but he's super crafty. I think he's deceptively long, and he's strong as a bull, absolutely strong as a bull. And here's the thing about Nelly Davis. If he drags you into deep waters and gets into his mid-range bag, it's automatic. If he spots up and gets a driving kick look from 3, it's automatic. Here's a practice clip that we pulled that kind of illustrates both of those things, and I think we're going to see a lot of this season with Nelly Davis. Okay, look at that. I mean, look at that form on that catch and shoot. That's so repeatable, so smooth, effortless. That's why he's a 40+% three-point shooter, which you absolutely love to see. And then, like I said, the very first part of that clip there, he just, like I said, gets you down in deep waters where you're not comfortable, and he's got a deep bag in the mid-range, man. It's really tough, and he's strong, physical, and there's nothing you can do about it. And that was a good defender there that, quite honestly, it was good defense and just better offense. He's that good, man. Let's see here. What else about Nelly? Something else that strikes me about him, he's really got a nose for it. I think that shows in his rebounding at his size, his steals. He was over a steal and a half per game. Rebounding as a 6'4" guard there, well over 5 per game. Just kind of has a knack for the ball and where it's going to be. It's interesting. If you go look at Florida Atlantic's depth charts the last couple years on KenPom, Nelly was listed as a power forward. And they played 4 guards and 1 big center. Okay. So he wasn't an actual power forward, but the point is, he was defending bigger guys a lot of the times, and he was tasked to go in there and rebound with the trees. I think that's a testament to his toughness, his physicality. They were comfortable with him doing that for 2 years. And it's not like they were just getting the hell beat out of him either. I mean, they went to a Final Four, and then they were back in the NCAA tournament last season. So it was something that really, it worked for him. Right. So I don't think he's going to necessarily be playing, the 4, quote unquote, for Arkansas. I mean, hopefully that front court stays healthy. But the point is, when it comes to, transferring up from a mid-major to a power conference program like that, you wonder how they're going to hold up with the speed of the game, the toughness, the physicality, and if it's going to translate. I don't think it's going to be a problem for Nelly Davis at Arkansas. And he was the go-to guy, leading scorer at Florida Atlantic. It's interesting, though, that there has been some concern, or maybe, I don't know if people are just grasping at straws here, but wondering if that dynamic is going to be weird between him and DJ Wagner, because Nelly has to have the ball in his hands so much. And I think I just disagree fundamentally with that line of thinking. Now, Nelly Davis, he took 27% of his team shots last year at FAU. He was used on 26% of their possessions. That's pretty high, up there in that top 10 percentile, probably in the country, as it should be when you're the best player. But if you watch those FAU teams, man, they shared the ball brilliantly. Everybody ate. I mean, Vlad Golden was getting his touches inside. He was getting fed regularly. Elijah Martin let it fly. Nick Boyd was getting his shots up. Nelly Davis is far from a black hole. And if you watch them play, he's really good off the ball as well. Kind of reminds me of an Aldi's Tony as a basket cutter. He knows when to crash, knows when to spot up. I really don't think that that's going to be an issue. We'll have to see it play out. But I definitely think that's something that's been a little bit overblown. And I've heard multiple national analysts talk about that. So we'll see. It's not something I worry about personally. A couple areas of need improvement, because you asked for both sides of the coin here, and we'll give it to you. One, turnover rate was too high. I think it was about 18% last season. When you're a go-to guy, I think that's just going to be a thing, but there's areas for him to improve there. I do think having more play makers around him probably takes away from some of the trying to do too much factor of things there. When he signed with Arkansas, the transfer portal, Scotty actually, he interviewed an FAU beat writer who said, yeah, like he had a lot of turnovers, but if you really go back and watch the games, like at least one of those a game was just a teammate not ready to accept the pass. And that was one of the things he said. Like, I actually think even though he's going up a level in terms of competition on a day in, day out basis, that turnover rate is probably going to go down because the guys he's playing with are just going to be better, more talented. So maybe that's the case, but it's definitely something that he needs to be better at. And John Calipari has talked about challenging him to get comfortable being uncomfortable. And that's going to be one of the areas. And number two, and this kind of goes hand in hand with turnovers, but decision-making in crunch time. Now, listen, he's clutch now. Don't get me wrong. I mean, if you watch that game where they beat Arizona in overtime last year, he was unconscious in that game. They had nothing for him. But he's made some poor decisions in key moments. And if you're going to be a go-to guy in the SEC on a team that's got high aspirations to compete, you got to be better there. So I think back to that Northwestern game in the NCAA tournament last year as a prime example. Tie game, minute left. He gets a bucket. Northwestern comes back and ties it. And then he has just kind of a really poor clock management decision at the end of that game. Actually, I have the clip. And so maybe I can pull it up here and provide a little bit of commentary on what I'm talking about. But this is FAU in the NCAA tournament. They lost this game in overtime, but this is the end of regulation. There we go. As you can see, let me pull it back just a little bit. Okay, so there's Nelly on the right wing there. Is getting ready to be in pick and roll action with Vlad Golden. Tie game, you need a bucket. You got in your best player's hand. Good decision here. He gets middle, attacks the defense. Boom, runner. That's bread and butter for him. That's money, and that's exactly what you want to see. So that's a bucket from your guy, your best player. Okay, look at that again. Good decision. Maybe he could have dumped it off. Maybe he could have lobbed it, whatever. But you get a bucket. Get your guy, like I said, in deep waters there. Northwestern comes back. Okay, they're going to score here to tie the game. And you look at the clock, 8.1 seconds left in this game. Tie game, all right? So you got to go, man. And this is a tie game, so you want to get as high quality of a shot as possible. If I'm a coach, I'm yelling, hey, get Nelly the ball. Dude, get downhill. Get downhill. Maybe you get fouled. Maybe you get to the free throw line. Maybe you can get to that mid-range, which is so good. But Nelly's way, way too casual right here, bringing the ball up the floor. And it leads to what's just an ill-advised shot that gets partially blocked. It's just not what you're looking for. There he comes. Tick tock, tick tock, man. It's under 4 seconds before you're initiating. Pulls up there in double coverage, and they get nothing out of that, right? So that is kind of what I'm talking about in terms of the decision making at the end of games. And he had 9 turnovers in that game. Now he's like I said, he's had a lot where he's just been the go-to guy, unconscious, incredible closer. And obviously, you can see the variance in one game where he gets the go-ahead bucket with under a minute left, and then probably an opportunity missed there. They go into overtime, and they kind of got dominated in overtime. So there you go. There's some areas to improve, but a lot of things to be really, really excited about with Nelly Davis. It's going to be fascinating to see how this plays out for the Razorbacks. It's a little bit different for John Calipari because he has a newcomer who is an upperclassman, a been there, done that guy that he can lean on a little bit. So it's going to be fun to watch how it all plays out. I cannot wait to see these guys in action. That scrimmage against Kansas is coming up really, really quick. So appreciate the question. This is just round 1, okay, of these player profile series. We're going to continue to move through one of these guys in the rotation every day. My guess would be, I guess Boogie Fland is probably next. So stay tuned for that tomorrow. But appreciate you guys for tuning in, tapping in. As always, this has been Curtis Wilkerson with the Pod at the Palace in Inside Arkansas, and we'll see you again bright and early tomorrow. Everybody have a good one.